little bit different. Your screens should be a little bit different because today we are all presenters, which has a couple of meanings that you need to know about. The first thing is if you press your talk button today while I'm talking, you will cut me off. If I press my talk button while you're talking, I will cut you off. So that's the first thing. Try not to touch your talk button unless, it's your turn to be talking. The second thing is, with a shared presenters, you each should be able to control as you move through your presentations. Now, there may be a few little glitches, and we totally will work through them in terms of sharing desktops. If you're the only one who actually sent me a presentation was Sarah's, and Robert, I believe, but Robert, yours was a Prezi, so I have it up if you want me to share it, but I wasn't sure if you were sharing it on your desktop so you could click through it or if you wanted me to. So that is completely up to you. Basically, today is our last class of high school biology, week 9. You guys have done a fantastic job up till now. Today during class, you've each prepared a presentation. While other people are giving their presentations, I would like you to do something called a peer review. Now, a peer review can mean lots of different things. For us, for a peer review, I'd like you to just grab a piece of paper, pencil or pen, and I'd like you to jot down a few things that either you learned while someone was giving their presentation, or a few things that you really liked. Like, let's say Gabriella did a great job showing pictures of her diagrams, or of her project. So that's something that you are going to include in your peer review. After somebody goes, so let's say Alicia goes, after Alicia goes, everyone's going to give 1 or 2 little comments about either what they liked, what they enjoyed. This is going to be 100% positive. Okay, let's say I do my presentation and you thought it was completely awful. You're not going to say that. You're going to find something good to talk about. My diagrams were drawn nicely. Okay, something. Everyone is going to have something positive to say. We are not going to criticize each other. So we're going to do that as we go along. Depending how long your presentations are, this class may or may not take the whole hour and a half that we've allotted for class. That kind of all depends on how smoothly things go. So does anyone have any questions before we go ahead and get started with our presentations? No question? Oh, Alicia, go right ahead with your question.
I was just wondering, I know I didn't send mine to you, so is it okay, if I can just let you guys access my desktop and you guys can just watch? Oh, okay. All good. Thank you.
Yep, that's perfectly fine. And if for some reason we run into a little glitch or something, you can always present it to me. Yes, Sarah, or you can always email it to me. And yes, Sarah, you should be able to flip to the next slide on your own. I shouldn't have to do that. That's why I made everyone a presenter. And I'm going to turn my camera off as you're presenting. You do not have to turn your cameras on, but if you would like to turn your cameras on, you are more than welcome to do so. So if there's no other questions, do I have a volunteer to go first and get it over with? Anthony, awesome. All right, Anthony, so how are you going to share your project with us?
I was just going to do my voice, and then I have 2 slides and a video to show. So if I could share my screen, that would be good.
Okay, perfect. So in order to share your screen, and if everyone could just listen so that when if you want to do it, you can. At the very top right-hand side, normally where you see my PowerPoints, you should see something that says Desktop and Application Sharing. If you click on that tab, there are two choices, Share My Desktop or Share an Application. Sharing your desktop is going to show us whatever is on your desktop. Sharing an application, you can pick and choose exactly what we see. Generally speaking, it is easier to just click Share My Desktop, but that is completely up to you guys. So, Anthony, you are first. Go right ahead.
Where do I click to share my screen? I missed it.
Okay, if you look at the very top where the PowerPoints normally are shown. Oh, you know what? Hold on, I think I have to click you. Okay, go ahead and look at the very top where the PowerPoints are shown. And you should see something that says document, or I think it says screen sharing. But it's gone off of my screen now, so I can't see it. If you click it, it's the third tab where the PowerPoints are shown. Click on that, and then you should be able to share your desktop there. If you can't find it, let me know.
I can see it, but everything, it's like I can't click on anything when I go to desktop and application sharing, so I'm not sure what to do.
Okay, can you click the little bubble next to desktop sharing?
Okay, no, I think you took it away.
Hold on, hold on one second. Okay, can you click the little bubble next to where it says desktop sharing? And then on the bottom right, it's going to say like allow desktop sharing.
I can click that.
Okay, so click the little bubble, and then at the bottom of right, it's going to say something like allow desktop sharing and look like a little button. Go ahead and click that too and see if it works.
It brings up the list of who's in the class.
All right, hold on. I'm going to take it back from you. Okay, hold on. I'm share your desktop. Maybe that will let me. It may not. Okay, try to put what you want up on your screen, Anthony, and see it on your desktop and see if it comes up on my screen. Oh, no. All right, that didn't work. Okay, how about this? I'm going to give it back to you, and we'll try this one more time. You're going to click on Share My Desktop, the little bubble, and then in the beginning or in the middle of that screen, you're going to click a green button that says Start Sharing. So let's see if that works.
I see the green button, but it won't let me click it. So I think it has something to do with my settings on my computer. So if someone else wants to go, and I can try and figure this out.
Okay, that works. Or if we can't get it figured out, if you want to just email me those pictures, I can load them up real quick onto here. Does somebody else want to volunteer to go first? Alicia, all right. Okay, Alicia, I went ahead and I gave you control of the screens, hopefully. So you should be able to turn your camera on by clicking Start. And if you want it on, if not, you can go ahead and talk us through your project.
Alrighty, can you guys see my desktop? Just say yes in the, you can't? Okay. No, alright. Alright. Alright, one second. I'm wondering, okay. Here's what I think was going on. I thought I had Java on my computer. I think I do. Yeah. Let me see if this works. Hey, can you guys see me? Alright. I apologize for the inconvenience. I think something's wrong with my computer. It's saying waiting for Java, and I don't think I have it, so I'm going to fix that. I didn't think that was going to be a problem. I'm going to fix that real quick and just see what's going on. Okay, thanks. I'm just going to click off.
All right, Gabrielle, I think your hand was up to go first. Would you like to try to go? All right, let's see if we can get Gabrielle's to come up. Gabrielle, you should be all set now. Gabrielle, make sure you click the talk button. I think I saw you click it real quick, but make sure you hold it down so it says busy.
How do I share my screen again?
Okay, we should be able to share our screens by going to where you normally see the PowerPoint. And there should be 3 tabs. The third tab says like desktop and application sharing. If you click on that, there should be a little bubble that you can click that says Share My Desktop. And then you should be able to click Start Sharing. So see if that works.
Like something happened, but then it went back to like blank, and it's not letting me.
Okay, maybe we're not going to be able to share our desktops. I thought making you all presenters would allow us to share desktops. So maybe the easiest thing to do is going to be, if you guys have something to share, I just went ahead and put my email address in the chat. Go ahead and email it to me and I can upload them real quick and we can go ahead and do the projects that way. So while Anthony, Alicia, and Gabrielle are emailing me, Robert or... Okay, go ahead, Alicia. Let me switch back to you. All right, Alicia, go ahead and give it a try.
Alrighty. Alright, can you guys see my desktop? Still no? Okay. Here. Allow desktop sharing. Documents. Come on. Okay. I'm very sorry. I'm just gonna. It should be able to work though, because I downloaded Java, and it should be able to work now. Did the video streaming be stopped during? Okay. Okay, I don't want to hold up the class or anything, so I'll just send it to Mrs. Burks. I'm sorry about that. I thought that would work.
All right, guys. I don't know why this isn't working. This should be working. Okay, so Sarah or Robert, do you want to go now since yours are up here? And I will get everyone else's up here while you guys are presenting. Either of you volunteer? Okay, Sarah's is up here. So, Sarah, you should see your PowerPoint up in our normal PowerPoint screen. And I'm hoping you have the ability to at least click through it. So I'm going to go ahead and give the screen to Sarah. If you want to turn your camera on, you can, but you do not need to.
Okay. Yes, I can click through. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me because it is pouring outside right now, so we'll just try our best. Okay. My project title is called Now You See It, Now You Don't. And this is my biology lab final project. Okay. We all may think we have perfect vision, but no one does. Every human has a blind spot because of the way the eye is constructed. What is a blind spot? A blind spot is a small missing part of the visual field on the retina. A lack of rods or cones on the optic disc result in no image being detected in this part of the eye. How is a blind spot identified? Why do we not normally perceive blind spots? Let's begin with how the eye works. The American Optometric Association explains how the eyes work. Vision begins when light rays are reflected off an object and enter the eyes through the cornea, the transparent outer covering of the eye. The cornea bends or refracts the rays that pass through a round hole called the pupil. The iris, or colored portion of the eye that surrounds the pupil, opens and closes, making the pupil bigger or smaller to regulate the amount of light passing through. The light rays then pass through the lens, which actually changes shape so it can further bend the rays and focus them on the retina at the back of the eye. The retina is a thin layer of tissue at the back of the eye that contains millions of tiny light-sensing nerve cells called rods and cones, which are named for their distinct shapes Cones are concentrated in the center of the retina in an area called the macula. In bright light conditions, the cones provide clear, sharp central vision and detect colors and fine details. Rods are located outside the macula and extend all the way to the outer edge of the retina. They provide peripheral or side vision. Rods also allow the eyes to detect motion and help us see in dim light and at night. These cells in the retina convert the light into electrical impulses, and then optic nerve sends these impulses to the brain where an image is produced. And you can see the little diagram up there with a bunch of those rods and cones and the cornea and the light entering the eye with the lens in the retina. In this diagram, we see where the blind spot is located. The blind spot is in the right eye, is to the right of the center of the visual field in that eye. The blind spot in the left eye is left of the central visual field in that eye. When both eyes are open, the visual field overlaps, and so the blind spots are not apparent. When just one eye is open, the brain fills in the missing part of the image. So then, how do we find it? Look at the picture and cover your left eye with your left hand and stare at the black circle. Notice the cross, but don't look at it, just watch the circle. Then, slowly move closer to the monitor and further away until you see the cross disappear. Stay there and cover your right eye and open your left. You should see the circle disappear. And you guys can go ahead and try it and let me know if it worked in the comments. You can also try this in color or make one yourself on paper. You can try the same experiment with this visual. Go ahead and try this. 1, 2. What did you see when the shapes disappeared? Your brain filled in the blind spot with the color of the background. Trying this on color paper works. The brain will just fill in the blind spot with the color of the colored paper. In this next experiment, cover your right eye with your right hand and look at the square with your left eye. Move further away or closer to the screen until you see the circle disappear and the rectangles connect together. In this case, your blind spot landed on the circle and your brain filled in the missing circle by connecting the two rectangles. If you'd like to try this one, go ahead and let me know if it worked. For this next experiment, look at the red square. Notice the red circle, but don't look at it. Just look at the red square. Cover your left eye with your left hand and move closer to the monitor, and you should see the red circle turn blue because your brain fills in the space with a blue circle. Go ahead and attempt this one. For this last experiment, stretch both arms out and point both pointing fingers up and both thumbs out. It should make a U shape. Close your left eye and with your right eye gaze at your left pointing finger. Then wiggle your right pointing finger side to side. Now you should not see the tip of your right pointing finger. I will give you a minute to try this and let me know if it works. Did the tip of your right finger appear? Edme Mariotti is the first person credited to discover the blind spot. Mariotti was born in 1620 and died in 1684. He was an experimenter whose work was well known to other famous scientists. Blind spots are now well known in the scientific community. I didn't know about them, and hopefully you learned about them like I have. Nobody has perfect vision because of the way blind spots are constructed on the visual field, which result in no image in a small space of the eye. Now, we all don't see as much of this world as we think we do. And here are a list of my website sources. And does anybody have any questions that I could possibly answer? And that's it. Thank you.
Awesome job. Was fantastic, Sarah. Definitely something amazing, and I don't remember who wrote it, but you are right. There are so many things that the human body can do. It truly is amazing. So great, great job. Alicia, I'm going to have you go next, and what I'm going to do is Alicia went ahead and sent a video. So I'm going to share it on my screen. And then, Alicia, if there's anything you want to comment on after, you certainly can. So let me steal the screen back from Sarah. And we're going to try this. Share. All right, Anthony, we'll figure something out. We'll figure something out, Anthony. All right, so hopefully, maybe if this isn't Alicia's then. Hold on. Maybe this is Gabrielle's. Hold on one second, ladies. Let me see whose I opened. I'm sorry. This is Gabrielle's presentation. So Gabrielle, hopefully you guys will be able to see Gabrielle's on meiosis, and then she can comment. Oh, but you probably can't hear it.
Their colors won't change throughout the propagation. Interesting is the state of the cell within a two base. We have two bases, G1, G2, and L. In the G1 phase, all of the normal T cells are divided within the G. In the G2 phase, guide cells are in the area from the because the sister components of telophase 1 are still attached, and they are not genetically identical, unlike those of telophase of mitosis. In prophase 1, the cell is a diploid cell. By the end of telophase 1, two haploid cells are formed, and the amount of genetic information is reduced by
All right. Okay, fantastic job. Yeah, I don't know why it's not cooperating, but great job, Gabrielle. And you did a fantastic job. Next, let me see whose I have here. Let's see, who else sent it? All right. Okay. Okay, the next one is on cholera, and it's a Prezi. Now, what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to try to share my screen with y'all, but unplug my headphones and see if you can hear better that way. So you're going to have to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Let's see. If you can or cannot. Can you hear me now through the microphone of the computer? If you can, go ahead and write it in the text chat. Okay. How is that? Can you hear me better now through the microphone of the computer? Okay, perfect. I think you'll be able to hear Prezi through the computer then. So you should now see where it says cholera on the screen, and let's hear the presentation. Hold on. Does your Prezi have words here? You need the microphone. Okay. So Alicia's going to take the microphone, and I'm going to go ahead and click through the Prezi then. Sometimes they have words through them. So go ahead, Alicia. If you need me to click, you're just going to have to say click or whatever.
Alrighty, guys, can you hear me? Alright, sounds good. Alright, sounds good. Okay, what you can do is just center your, cause there's like a bar. Yeah, don't worry about having to like, center it or anything. It's okay. It should do it on its own and stuff like that. But thank you. Alrighty. Alrighty then. I suppose I think I can just get started. Alrighty. Actually, can you click the home button? On the screen, there should be a home button. Or click the next slide. Perfect. Perfect. Alright, oh. There we go. There we go. Okay. In this image before you, you can see King Cholera allowing his subjects to drink from the watering trough. This is an example of how, from a point in London's history from the early 1800s to well into the 1900s, how cholera ruled the lives of most of the people who lived in England and the surrounding areas. This is an example of how these people had a sickness right under their noses and they had no idea. But anyway, so if you could click the next slide. And the next one. And the next one. Perfect. Okay, what is cholera? Cholera is a bacterium known as Vibrio cholerae, and Vibrio cholerae comes in many different forms, but the one being discussed in this presentation is bacillus. It is disease-causing, and symptoms include diarrhea, vomiting, muscle cramps, dehydration, and due to the dehydration, the skin can turn blue, the body becomes weak, the hands and feet are wrinkly, and your electrolytes become imbalanced. The electrolytes are actually very important at this point. Electrolytes can be lost through vomiting and diarrhea, and the electrolytes are actually what help you get better. Like for instance, when you have a stomach bug, like food poisoning, your mom might get Gatorade or vitamin water or even Smart Water for you. And this is because they have electrolytes added into them. And when you intake that drink, it replenishes the electrolyte balance that you lose while you're sick. And this is the same thing with cholera. Next slide, please. And this is an image of the bacterium Vibrio cholerae. You can see that it is bacillus, how it is long and rod-like. Next slide, please. And the next one. Okay, continuing where we left off, infection can occur through the consumption of water and or food contaminated by the infected human feces. This is why it is important to keep a city's sewage system as far away from the drinking water system as possible. I'll talk about this a little bit later on, but I just want to input the fact that this is why third world countries have so much problem with multiple sicknesses, including cholera. And it is because there is no specific water separation. The washing is happening where they're going to the bathroom and where they're having their drinking water. And as you can see, even though the water can be cloudy or it can be clear, but if there is a contamination, then cholera can easily spread. The treatment for cholera, if one is infected, includes oral consumption of fluids that are somewhat salty and sweet. And this is because when you think of salty and sweet, you might think of salt. Oh, this is because sodium and potassium are electrolytes. And when you have the fluids salty and sweet, the patient is intaking those, they are getting the electrolytes back into their system, which helps them get back together. And I think that because, well, actually, I don't think, I know, that because it's contamination, it is just very important that the patient has access to clean water and a sanitary environment. Clean water helps wash, kind of, I guess you could say, kind of clean the system of the impurities, but but antibiotics can also be taken. More so in our age today, antibiotics are taken. Next slide, please. And I thought this was actually very interesting. It's just the fact that it's actually pretty funny. But this is cholera prevention statement, and these were put everywhere where quarantine needed to be. But if you see the one that says drunkenness, the rest of the word is beware of drunkenness. Nothing is so likely to bring on disease. I'll explain to you later why that is very ironic, because it was actually breweries that helped open the case for cholera. But we'll explain more on that later. But it's mainly the writing in bold. If anyone is seized with sickness, slight vomiting, purging, burning of heat in the stomach, with cramp in various parts of the body, and a feeling of cold all over, it's probably cholera. Now, I know that it probably is disgusting, and it was. This was a very difficult time for the world. This happened during the 19th century and into the 20th century. It was a very scary time, and much like Sarah's saying, ew, it is gross, and because it was gross and it was very terrifying, a lot of people were scared. But actually, through this sickness, many discoveries were made in science that have now saved millions of lives to this day. Next slide, please. And the next one. Alright, cholera's first debut. Archaeological evidence has found that record of cholera has been dated back to the times of the Greeks, where it first got its name. However, the first initial outbreak was actually in India during 1817. After India struck, it was almost like a domino effect with other neighboring countries because of trade and global expansion. Russia, Japan, and other Eastern countries were hit as well with the outbreak until 1824, when it disappeared. Not dispersed, but when it just suddenly disappeared. The thing about cholera is that during that time, it would just suddenly appear and then go away for some odd reason. And it was probably due to the fact that it was just disappearing for no apparent reason. No one knew why, and this is why a lot of people started questioning why this was happening. You know, this wasn't just someone getting a cold down the street and it just spreading lightly. This was something that was happening over and over again, that happened for a period of almost 100 years. The second outbreak included the United States and Europe in 1827. Which includes the London outbreak, and London went well into the early 1900s. But in the United States, it disappeared less quickly due to the fact that during that time, the United States was still being developed and people were less spread apart, whereas in London, it was very concentrated. So it was more likely for someone to get sick and for it to quickly breed and spread, whereas in the U.S. that was not so much the case. Like cities like New York, however, that did happen, and that's where it mainly happened, but everywhere else it didn't spread as easily as it did in Europe. The third outbreak included the African continent, and it also went well into the fourth, fifth, and sixth outbreaks in Africa. The spread of cholera slowly disappeared and reappeared throughout history, as I said before, and it has killed millions among the centuries, and it is most known for its outbreak in London, which we will be talking about. Next slide, please. And I just want to show a quick image. This is a quarantine ward, and you can see the patients in the bed, but this is what treatment would look like if you had cholera at that time. Next slide, please. And the next one. Alright, The London epidemic. This occurred in 1827 when the U.S. epidemic occurred as well, but again, I said before, the London epidemic occurred longer than the U.S. epidemic. In this breakout, 6,536 people died from cholera due to unsanitary conditions and illness spread easily. If you want to think about it another way, I like to think about it when you are preparing food, you cut raw chicken on a cutting board. You don't just lay the chicken aside and use the same cutting board to cut vegetables. You clean the cutting board or you get a new one because the spread of germs, and it's a lot like that in the sense that it was an unsanitary time, and it was also during the Industrial Revolution where factories were being built up like skyscrapers, and they were just popping up everywhere. And due to the factory conditions and the fact that a lot of people were just poor at that time, there was so much poverty in the London area, a lot of people were getting sick because of those conditions. During the time, cholera was to be thought of miasma, which as defined by Wikipedia is a highly unpleasant or unhealthy smell or vapor. Therefore, the air quality was thought to be the culprit. And as I said, factories were popping up everywhere. And a lot of people thought that because these factories were popping up, they were spewing contaminants into the air. And although this was true, a lot of people blamed cholera on the factories and the breweries and the bone boilers who were releasing these toxins into the air, which was not the case. And that's what a lot of people missed, which we will be talking about in the next slide. Next slide, please. All right. Dr. John Snow. He's by far, I think, one of my most favorite people in history. But during the outbreak in the Soho district of London during 1854, kind of skipping forward a few years after 1827 when it first started, a doctor named John Snow began to suspect that cholera was not of a miasmic nature. Snow was able to reason this because evidence showed that the illness traveled through the digestive system and not the respiratory. He looked at the bodies of the victims of the cholera, and much like when you see a smoker's lungs, there is traces that they have been smoking tobacco for a while or for a short while, you know, because their lungs aren't nice pink, they're really smoky or black. Well, Snow, when he looked into the victims, he thought that he would almost see the exact same thing. But this was not the case. Their lungs were completely healthy, which could not be connected to miasma because miasma is being breathed in through the respiratory system. And he actually found more problems in the digestive system, and that's how he was able to reason with this. He also found that miners were falling ill where there were no traces of miasma. So they weren't being exposed to the things that people were being exposed to, like the brewers and factories and stuff like that, but they were having water carried down to them. And this was also what Dr. John Snow kind of picked up in his research. He made his theory that cholera spread through water contamination of the city's pipelines. This was because, much like I said earlier, everything was just being mixed into one cesspool. Although there were pumps, although there were separate water supplies, everything somewhere along the line was just getting mixed together in one huge cesspool. And he was actually able to prove this by setting up two water companies, Water Company A and Water Company B. Water Company A had its water lines mixing with the Thames River. This was a problem because everyone was dumping everything in the Thames, from excretory to feces to garbage, and but the water company didn't really have a problem with this. Whereas a different water company who was not mixing their water system with anything else, and they were all actually separated from the Thames a lot more than Company A. Company A to Company B ratios of cholera deaths was 71 to 5, and that is very significant in this. And John Snow was able to theorize that it was actually contamination by water that was happening through cholera. Although Snow had hard evidence, his theory against the miasma theory was met with skepticism from the London Board of Health. And if you could have the next slide. Alright. Did you guys hear that okay? Yes? Okay. Sorry about the sound for a minute there, but I hope you guys were able to hear it. Okay, thank you for the next slide. Snow's struggle. Dr. Snow was able to pinpoint the Broad Street pump as the source of the Soho epidemic. And Snow brought his case to the London Board of Health in Parliament. And he actually showed that, kind of going back to what I said earlier, that the brewery was actually not getting sick. And the Board of Health was blaming cholera on people like the factories and the bone boilers and the breweries because they were releasing contaminants in the air. Well, Snow noticed, why is no one getting sick where they should be sick, like in the breweries where they were working in that stuff all day, compared to people who were, yes, breathing it in, but not as much as the brewers and the factory workers. And he suspected that something was up, so he investigated, and he actually found out that the breweries weren't getting sick because they mostly drank beer, and they had their own uncontaminated water source because they needed that in order to brew and distill the beer. And he pointed this out to the Board of Health, as well as another investigation that he held, which was two houses that lived across from each other on the same street in the same neighborhood. The first house received water from the Broad Street pump, and all the residents suffered from cholera because they drank that water, whereas the second house received water from another source far away from the Broad Street pump. And they had little to no cases. Once the Board of Health in Parliament saw that this was becoming a problem, and partially because they themselves were scared, much like the people of London, they shut the Broad Street pump down, and that is when cholera cases went down significantly. Kind of like the ratio, 71 to 5, that kind of significance. It was a huge change, and Snow was able to save hundreds of lives. Next slide, please. Now today, Dr. Snow is known as the father of epidemiology, and epidemiology is the study and trace of not only just one person's sickness, but the whole broader view. And this is how Dr. Snow was able to prove that the Broad Street pump was the case of the Soho outbreak of cholera. He didn't look at one person, he looked at the whole population, and this was how he was named the father of epidemiology, because he discovered this theory of epidemiology. He was recognized for his works only after his death, but his research has saved millions of lives to this day. And his methods of tracking contamination and where the source of an outbreak begins, epidemiology initially, are still used to this day. Like with the CDC in Georgia, they were the ones that were on site during the Ebola, when Ebola was discovered in Dallas, Texas, and they use the same techniques that Dr. Snow used back then. Next slide, please. I always like to think that Dr. Snow is very handsome. Okay. Cholera today. Where is cholera since that time in the 19th century? Today, cholera mainly resides in Africa, and that's due to the unsanitary conditions. It is a third world. It is a third world country, and like I said before, washing is happening where pooping is happening, where drinking is happening, and that's what's causing cholera to still be in Africa. However, cholera mainly affects children now, but it is still rare and it is still very serious when it happens. But treatments have been discovered and are being used, like I talked about earlier. But other ways are being explored and research continues. Like for instance, does treatment only have to be through taking in fluids? Can it be through a vaccine or a pill or something like that? And this is a picture of two children who have successfully gone through treatment, and they're happy and healthy. And I think the point is about this Prezi is that even though things like this, like cholera epidemics, happen in history, we learn from them as humans, and we keep on moving on. That's pretty much the end of my presentation. If you can hit the next slide, I'll show my sources real quick. And the next one. Yep. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Yep. And there's my sources. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's kind of an odd thing to do a Prezi on, but I hope you learned some things, and I hope you enjoyed it, and because I enjoyed it too. But anyway, just have an awesome day. Thank you all for listening. Oh, and the video that I used was on YouTube, was used by permission. All right, that's about it for me. Thanks for listening.
All right, great job. Thank you very much. You guys are all doing a fantastic job on these presentations, and these Prezis are great. While we are on the Prezi move, we are going to do another Prezi that is on owls. Let me pull it up. We have one on barn owls. So, whose was barn owls? Anyone going to claim barn owls? Barn owls. Oh, hold on, I'm not in the main chat. All right, Robert, so you are going to go next. Same thing, I'm going to share my desktop. You are going to steal the microphone from me, and you should be all set. So go ahead.
Okay, so can you guys hear me? Is my mic working? So my presentation is actually about different kinds of birds, but Prezi got its own mind and named it barn owl. So yeah, I decided to do my biology project on birds using Prezi. On each bird, I will tell of its breeding and nesting, a special feature of the bird, its habitat, and its diet. My first is the barn owl, and you can take the next slide, please. If you hear a piano in the background, it's my brother. Can you hit that? Try one more time. Okay, there we go. A barn owl couple normally nests in hollow trees, cliff cavities, buildings, and nest boxes. They make their nests out of shredded owl pellets. But if you think about it, it's kind of gross because owl pellets is owl feces. So if you're a baby waddling around in your nest, you're waddling around in your parents' feet. Their eggs are a dough color. One thing that people tend to notice about the barn owl is that the beak isn't like the normal owls. It's lower and pointed down. Another thing is the heart-shaped ring around its head. Could you hit next, please? Okay. Barn owls are found in the purple area on the map shown to the left. Their habitats include grasslands, deserts, marshlands, and open fields. They roost in dark cavities in city and farm zones. And I live on a farm, and in my barn, there's like, they don't nest in there. The only thing that nests in there is a woodpecker couple. And I've never actually really seen a barn owl in the wild. I've seen one in the zoo before, but I never really have seen a barn owl in the wild. Did you hit next, please? The barn owl hunts small mammals at night, flying low to the ground. They typically will eat rabbits, mice, rats, and other mammals of the sort. Could you click next, please? All right, so that's my barn owl. My next bird is the scarlet tanager. Could you click next, please? One more time. The scarlet tanager nest is made of a flimsy, shallow, open cup of twigs found on a horizontal limb of a tree. Their eggs are greenish blue to light blue, finely speckled with reddish coloring. So their eggs are pretty cool. They sound pretty. Could you click next, please? On the wintering grounds of South America, the scarlet tanager joins mixed species flocks. So that means like there will be like a flock of scarlet tanagers, a crow, a woodpecker, a blue jay. So just like different bird species making one flock, it's pretty awesome. It'd be a pretty interesting sight to see. The scarlet tanager's distribution is on the map to the left. This bird normally lives in mature deciduous and conifer forests. The scarlet tanager captures insects and spiders by grabbing them while hovering. It will also hawk flying insects. It will occasionally eat buds and fruits, and it looks like this scarlet tanager is attempting to eat a wasp, which I would never do even if I was a bird. Next, please. So yeah, okay, here's the Stellar's jay. This is one of my personal favorite birds because we have a ton of these in Oregon. Also because of their amazing coloration. Could you please, guys, next, please? The Stellar's jay's nest is an open cup of twigs, dry leaves, moss, and mud. They line this with rootlets, pine needles, and hair. Their eggs are bluish-green, marked with dark spots. The Stellar's jay's beautiful, deep black and blue colors are captivating, and are what many people admire them for. And that they're beautiful because when there's just one doing its call over and over, it's tolerable. You can tolerate it, but like when there's a group of them, they get very annoying. Next slide, please. The Stellar jays normally live in mixed coniferous and deciduous forests, especially pine oak woodlands, which we have a ton of up here in Oregon. So we have a lot of birds. Could you hit the next slide, please? Seller's jays feed on arthropods, acorns, nuts, fruits, seeds, and small vertebrates. It will peck at food while holding its feet. Next slide, please. Next is the great blue heron. These are pretty funny looking birds. The great blue heron nests are found on large platforms of sticks lined with pine needles, moss, reeds, dry grass, or twigs. Their eggs are dull pale blue. Next slide, please. The great blue heron's special feature is remarkable skills. It stands perfectly still in the water until a fish swims by, and then with its long neck, it will kind of like spear the fish. It's like a natural spearfisher, I guess. The great blue heron is found near freshwater ponds, streams, or lakes, or even on seacoasts. And I have a funny, if not slightly terrifying, story of the blue heron. One time I was going on a bike ride with my uncle and my cousin to the park, and I'm riding ahead, and there's this warm, sticky spray that goes like in a stripe right in front of me, and I like bring my bike to a complete stop, and look up, and there's this great blue heron that just tried to kill me. Okay, so the great blue heron diet. The great blue heron hunts for fish, invertebrates, amphibians, cows, birds, and small mammals. Looks like this great blue heron get a turtle down the hatch, and I think that would be kind of hard with the shell. Next one, please. Okay. The bald eagle. It's another one of my favorite birds. Not only because it represents our country, but I think normally you wouldn't think, yeah, America. Normally you wouldn't think that the bald eagle, white and brown, would be pretty colors together, but the bald eagle makes them. He makes it work. Next slide, please. The bald eagle nests on cliffs or tall trees. Their nests are made of sticks lined with finer woody materials. It is reused over many years. I think this is pretty cool because normal birds would like take a twigs and leaves and grass and just throw a nest together out of that. But these eagles reuse their nest over the course of years. The thing that most people associate the bald eagle with is the American flag. This bird has the biggest honor of all the birds to represent our great country. Next slide, please. The bald eagle distribution is on the map to the left. It resides in forested areas near large bodies of water. Next slide, please. The bald eagle mostly eats fish. It will also eat large birds, mammals, and dead animals. It will also steal prey from other eagles or other birds and mammals. It will also wade into the water for fish. Next slide, please. The next bird is the northern cardinal. Next slide, please. The northern cardinal nest is on an open bowl of weed stems. Is an open bowl of weed stems and twigs filled with leaves and grapevine bark, and lined with grass. These nests are often contain paper or plastic in the outer layer. Next slide, please. The special feature of the northern cardinal is its fame. It holds the title of state bird in 7 U.S. states, and it also has a football team named after it, which I know the Eagles do too, but I'm a Cowboys fan, so I don't like the Eagles. The northern cardinal inhabits woodlands, swamps, streamside thickets, and gardens throughout the east. I think they've also been introduced to Hawaii too. So yeah. The northern cardinal eats seeds, fruits, buds, and insects. It is commonly seen eating at bird feeders or in gardens. Birds are amazing creatures. They come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. I enjoyed doing this research because it reminded me of how much God cares and loves us. It made all of these different birds so special. Things I learned from this research is that the barn owl has a heart-shaped ring around its head, which I've never really noticed before. The scarlet tanager joins mixed species flocks, which again would be an amazing sight to see. The Steller's jay eats fruit, which I wouldn't think it would eat fruit. I thought it was more of an insect and, I guess, seed and nut kind of bird. The great blue heron will attempt to eat turtles, which is interesting because I never really think anything would ever try to eat a turtle because of its shell. I learned that the bald eagle is very resourceful in the way that it reuses its nest. Generation after generation, they have baby chicks, and those chicks grow up, and they have babies in that same nest, and they just keep getting reused. And they also don't have to get live prey. They can find dead animals or steal from other animals. And the northern cardinal has a nest made of almost everything, from grapevine bark to paper and plastic. This concludes my presentation, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
All right, fantastic job, Robert. That was another great presentation. You guys really are doing a phenomenal job on this. And we have one more. We have Anthony's, and he sent it to me as a video. So let me pull it up so I can share it with you guys. And hopefully we'll be able to hear it okay. All right. Okay, so I think I'm going to have to keep, yeah, there's no sound to the video, Anthony. So do you want to talk us through the video? Is that what you're going to do? Awesome. And let me get it on my desktop, and you steal the microphone from me, and we'll get started.
Okay, so this video will be how to extract DNA from a strawberry. So first we remove the stems from the strawberries and place them in a plastic bag. And then we will smash them. So the bag is mostly filled with the juice from the strawberries. Now we're going to get half a cup of water. And we'll pour a tablespoon of soap into the water. And Dawn dish soap is recommended for this project. Then next we'll do half a tablespoon of salt. And then we will mix it together. So you're going to mix it until the salt is no longer visible. Now we're going to open the bag and pour our mixture into the strawberry juice. Now you want to make sure there's the least amount of air as possible in the bag, and then you can mix it thoroughly. So what's happening here is the mixture we created is breaking through the protective membrane so that it will reveal the DNA. The soap and salt is helping you do that. Now you take some filter paper and a beaker, and then you'll pour the mixture in there, and just the juice will come out the bottom.
All right, great job, Anthony. That was very cool. You guys did a fantastic job on your... Oh, the video stopped. Sorry, Anthony. Go ahead, I'll let you finish talking. All right, hold on one second. The video stopped. That's why I clicked off. So let me get it back to the end of the video. And there you go. If you need me to move it, just let me know.
Okay, you just tell me where you want me to go back, Anthony, okay?
Just go back to the part where I was pouring it into the beaker. Can you go back some more? Part where I was pouring it out of the bag. There we go. That's good. Alright, so once you have your juice in the beaker, you want to take some cold alcohol and then slowly pour it into the beaker. And you want to pour the same amount of alcohol in as you have the juice. And just be careful so it doesn't mix, it just sits on top. And you can actually see in the next scene that the two liquids won't actually mix together in the beaker, but they will be two separate layers. And what you can see here, the stuff floating in the alcohol section up top is actually DNA rising to the surface of the alcohol. And this happens because DNA does not like alcohol, so it will all combine together. And you can't really see it on camera very well, but you can actually scoop it out with a popsicle stick and touch the DNA with your hand. And that's the end of the video. And just some facts about DNA would be that an average strawberry cell contains about 9 feet of DNA. And during an average meal, you consume 55 million cells and 93,000 miles of DNA in one meal. So that is my lab done.
Awesome job. Definitely some cool facts in all of your presentations that you guys did today. I'm very impressed with all of the work that you guys did on this and on everything in the class. You guys for putting in so much time and effort into your biology lab. So here we are at the end of our class, at the end of the week. So this is what's going to happen. During the day today, I'm going to put a survey up in Moodle. I'm going to ask you and or your parents to complete the survey. You guys can probably do it without much issue. It's just basically about the class. And then once I have the surveys completed, I'm going to issue you a grade as well as the half a credit for the course. And you're going to get a certificate that you can print that says, you know, Anthony Rollins has completed high school biology learning lab, if you want that for your records. But if you have any questions about your grades, certainly do not hesitate to contact me. You know, it could be that something was missed, but definitely ask me and or your advisor, but I'm certainly the one to ask before you go to them.
So they will get an email from me as well saying, Robert earned a whatever on biology lab, so that they can add it to your transcripts. And I'm going to send you an email this afternoon once that survey link is up and working properly. And if you could go ahead and fill that out within the next day or so, that would be awesome. Again, fantastic job on this. If anyone has any questions about the class or any concerns, certainly feel free to give me a call. You guys were a wonderful class. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you again in the Learning Lab with me or with somebody else. So I hope you have a great day, and thank you very much. See you later. Have a good end of your school year.